Hi, this is John Bathurst with Compass and Bathurst Coastal Properties here in Manhattan Beach. Cheers. Thinking about making a move or investing somewhere outside the Los Angeles area? Maybe it's somewhere else in California, or maybe it's another city or state. Hi, I'm John Bathurst with Compass and Bathurst Coastal Properties here in Manhattan Beach. I'm going to be interviewing some amazing real estate agent partners throughout the country. Maybe places you'd like to invest or maybe move to. Coming to California, I cover the entire Los Angeles coastline, and I would love to help. I hope you enjoy the upcoming interview. Cheers.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris Kwon with Compass Real Estate, and I'm joined with my friend here, John Bathurst, out of the South Bay. What's up, everybody? I am going to interview John because I'd love to get some information about him and have him share it with you guys. So, John, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
You know, I'm very blessed. This is my backyard right here. That's Manhattan Beach Pier. And I get to look at that and be down there every single day. So how could life be so bad if you have that as your backyard?
You really go there all the time?
I'm 1 block from the beach. Yeah.
You surf a lot?
I used to surf every single day. And now I kind of surf when the water warms up, the surf is good, my boys want to go out, my friends are going out. So, it's like in the winter, I may surf, half a dozen times in the winter. But when it's like later spring and summer, yeah, I'm in the water all the time.
Nice.
When you get old, you just get a little colder.
Oh, I know about getting old. All right, so tell me a little bit about, because I know that you're in Manhattan Beach, right? It's obviously in the background over there. You've been there for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about your history with that city and kind of why you're still there.
Yeah, I was actually born locally. I was actually born in Inglewood Hospital and was raised in the first 8-9 years of my life in San Pedro and then up to Palos Verdes. And then later high school years in Huntington Beach. And I lived basically pretty coastal most of the time. I was always a beach kid. When I graduated from college, Cal State Long Beach, I moved from Huntington to Newport and then ultimately down to North County, San Diego. But I was always near the water because I always wanted to be near where I could surf. But relocated to Manhattan Beach in the late 80s and have been here ever since. Manhattan Beach is a small little beach community, kind of really off the map a bit for most people who are coming to LA, because when people are coming to LA, and they would go to Hollywood, they'd go to Beverly Hills, maybe they'd go to the west side of Santa Monica, the Santa Monica Pier, go on a Ferris wheel. But Manhattan Beach was always sort of that area that people really didn't know about until probably about 10, 15 years ago, where it's some of the most beautiful beaches, super clean, one of the safest areas in all Los Angeles. And it's been home for me for, over 30 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Your kids, they all went to the school there, right?
Yeah, so I have 2 in high school right now at Maricosta High School, which is the only high school we have here. They went to Granville Elementary, which was near the beach. And I have one that graduated from Maricosta, who's at Cal State Berkeley, as a swimmer. Nice.
Wait, so how long have you been actually selling real estate out there?
So I've been in real estate for 7 years. Previous to real estate, I was an investor. I owned about 10 different homes from the very first condo I bought in San Diego in the late 80s. Bought a condo, I think, for about $89,000, and then bought and sold. I ended up building a home in Manhattan Beach. Then I actually spent half my time in New York City. So I still had my home, but then I sold it, and then I moved back to New York City and bought another home. So I've always playing around in real estate. My original passion, I wanted to be an architect, but I just didn't happen to go down that route. But so real estate was one of those things that my previous career, I was an executive in the fashion and action sports and swimmer businesses. I worked for Quicksilver and Ralph Lauren and Speedo, and I traveled globally. As my kids were growing up, being gone was not really what I envisioned myself to be with a family. So I pivoted about 8 years ago, got my license, and been selling real estate for about 7 years now.
Nice, nice. You're a lifer there, huh? In Manhattan Beach.
You know, I love the coast. Look, you know what? The only thing that would take me from the coast is another coast. I mean, I love the mountains too, and I love to snowboard. But having lived at Huntington and Newport, Cardiff, Solana Beach, Hermosa Beach, anything near the coast is great. And obviously, with my kids here, you know, obviously I'm not going anywhere soon, but definitely coastal areas resonate with me.
Nice, nice. So what's your specialty over there? Because I know that the price points there are kind of on the up and up, right? They're not the most expensive in LA, but they're certainly not the cheapest. What's the real estate there like? What's inventory like? What's it like out there?
Well, first off, you know, the market's, you know, been crazy nuts. You know, high buyer demand with low inventory, which I think we're seeing everywhere in this country, including down in your world.
Right.
You know, the average home price in Manhattan Beach has exceeded $3 million. The Hermosa Beach area, you know, it's probably about 20% less than that. So you're probably sitting about 2.5 million. Redondo Beach, there's North Redondo and South Redondo. South Redondo is a little more expensive because it's on the coast. So your average price point there is nearing $2 million. For these are for single family. North Redondo, you still can get a townhome or single family for just under $1 million, but for the most part, the average price point is 1.2 or 1.3.
Yeah.
But then you get to a larger area of Torrance. You know, Torrance has a very vast area. You know, depending on if you're south or west Torrance, a little more expensive. North part of Torrance or old Torrance in the middle, or even the east part of Torrance is a little less expensive. But even Hawthorne, which is adjacent to Torrance and Manhattan Beach and El Segundo, prices, there's a new listing coming out for 1.7 million in Hawthorne, and it's just nuts to see what's sort of happening.
Nuts.
High demand.
Hawthorne.
Yeah, Hawthorne, right? Where the Beach Boys grew up. Beach Boys grew up there.
I know.
But again, even in Hawthorne, there's the Del Air area, which is actually west of the freeway versus other communities on the east side of the 405. But listen, there's no more land, right? There's not new number of homes coming on the market in terms of, you know, it's fixed. We're dense, and there's no land here to build additional units. So, you know, high buyer demand. There's a lot of money here when it comes to venture capital, private equity, entertainment, technology. All big thriving businesses, you know, exist throughout, you know, the LA area.
I heard they're building a Topgolf right over there, right next to the airport, right?
Yep. So that's gotta be exciting. Topgolf is about I guess it's probably 1.5 miles from where I live. It's as you go towards the airport, it's in El Segundo. There was a great course there, the executive course and a driving course.
Yeah,
I remember the kids and I were always at. By the looks of it, it looks like Topgolf. It's probably by summer for sure, and looking forward to going there. It's pretty cool.
That place is gonna be nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts.
That place is gonna be nuts. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome though for your city.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, California. Everybody comes to California for like, you know, everybody thinks of California as having this like great weather, right? When I live here, like we definitely have seasons, but not like the seasons that you have in like New York or like the Midwest, right? Or even on the East Coast, because they get it drastically. They're like super hot, super cold, and we're like everything in the middle. What's it like in Manhattan? Is it pretty even keel, or does it get really cold out there or hot?
You know, we have seasons. If you're a kind of a Westerner or Californian, but there is seasons here. The season goes from being really warm in the summer, you know, in the mid 80s to 90s, to sort of Indian summers in the fall for most of it, and starts cooling a little bit at night when the days get a little bit shorter. In the winter, we do get rain, and occasionally we'll get a little warm spell at 80 degrees.
We'll get maybe 2 days of rain, that's it.
Yeah, we always pray for more rain than we normally get, but listen, you know, just a few weeks ago or 10 days ago, it was, you know, 85 degrees, and then the weather turned into the 50s and we got some hail.
Oh, I know. That's right.
Right?
That's right. We had hail over at our place too.
Yeah.
It was nuts.
But, you know, one of the reasons people come to, you know, to Southern California and maybe Manhattan Beach or LA area is that, you know, we have a lot of sunshine. We have a lot of sunshine. It's, you know, it's beautiful. It's 65 degrees and sunny outside right now. And, you know, with no wind, you know, it's still beach weather.
So what would somebody like, if I was like moving from like New York, right? Didn't know too much about California, and like the biggest places to move, or like at least that are well known, are like Hollywood, Beverly Hills, right? And your Rodeo Drive. Like, what would make me, as like, let's say if I was a $2 or $3 or $4 million buyer, want to come to like Manhattan Beach? Like, what's the draw? Besides like having the beach community and all the things that you just mentioned, but like what is it?
Yeah, well, probably number one, if you want to be near the beach and you have kids and you're looking for great schools, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo Beach, and Palos Verdes, and even some areas of Torrance, are some of the best schools in California and in the country.
So you service all those areas, right?
Yeah, I service all those areas. Yeah.
So that's considered what, South Bay?
Yeah. So South Bay is considered Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo for sure, and then sort of the expanded South Bay is El Segundo, Hawthorne, Torrance, Palos Verdes, Estates, Rancho Palos Verdes, and Rolling Hills.
Nice.
And even might even stretch, even though San Pedro is not the South Bay, we kind of include that because it's just on the other side of Palos Verdes.
It's the stepchild, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but again, that's near and dear to my heart because that's where I was. That's where I lived first 8 years of my life.
Right. Wait, so like, if I was to go from like San Pedro to like El Segundo, what is that? What are we talking about? 45 minutes?
Yeah, you would come down to San Pedro. You go just right by the Vincent Thomas Bridge. You drive up the 110 freeway and go on the 405 North, and then get off on Rosecrans. And that distance, if you're doing that with no traffic, then you're probably sitting about 20 minutes. With traffic, maybe it's 30.
30. Okay, so that's not bad. That's actually not a very big area. If you think about it.
No, it's not. It's
very
not
dense,
at all.
huh?
It's a lot of cities in a very dense area.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know too much about the South Bay, but I'm familiar with those cities for sure. And it always just seemed bigger to me, but 20 to 30 minutes is not that long at all. Especially for residential commute.
No, it's not that at all. You're dealing with density and traffic is what your most things would probably, keep you from living in certain areas. But since the pandemic, even living if you're driving up to the west side to say Santa Monica, Century City, or downtown Los Angeles, when you were living in Palos Verdes or South Redondo, and to get to the freeway, it took a bit longer.
Right.
But since most people are working hybrid schedules where they don't have to go to the office every single day, living a little further away from the freeway is not that bad when you're only maybe commuting to work a couple days a week.
Gotcha. So sorry to cut in the middle of that. So you were saying like, why are people why would somebody come to Manhattan Beach or even the South Bay over like Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica? Like, what was the draw?
Well, I think that, the great thing about living in, say, the South Bay is that you're close to most anything within Los Angeles. So if you have kids and they go to school, public schools are, like I said, blue ribbon schools, some of the top in California. And it's not just Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, Redondo, Palos Verdes, Torrance. If somebody wanted to be close to LA, love the arts and the restaurants, season tickets for the Lakers, were an LA Ram fan, SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Congratulations to the Rams for their victory in Super Bowl. You're close to everything in the South Bay. Nothing is more than, say, 45 minutes away. You want to go to Griffith Observatory, you can get up there in 45 minutes. You want to go downtown LA, go to Staples Center, it's 30 minutes away. SoFi Stadium, 20 minutes away. LAX, 10 minutes away. Everything is super, super close. And at the same time, you have amazing schools and amazing beaches.
Right. Nice.
Well,
nice.
And then also, we have some amazing, just restaurants and bars. And again, it's a really safe place for people to be out and about and never worry about too much crime. I mean, we're more concerned about jaywalkers than we are anything else.
Package thieves, right? Yeah. No, I mean, certainly, like, for a person, I mean, I'm in Orange County, right? So I could tell you about all the nooks and crannies of being in Orange County, the cities and stuff like that. When it comes to LA, obviously, I've been a Southern California guy myself, and so I know all these kind of areas kind of just by knowing them, right? But not really intimately knowing them. And if I was a buyer, like, that's one of the things that we need to do is, like, kind of attract the people and, like, hey, what's the reason why people would come to my area as opposed to your area or living somewhere else? So I think those are highly important.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting. So because I'm coastal, and I've sold properties up in Malibu, and I've sold properties as far south as San Clemente. I usually don't go too far out of my south, going into Orange County, but having bit, lived in some of those areas and very familiar with all the coastal stuff. If I think I can serve a client, I'll help them. But more than likely, I'm going to refer someone to you down in Orange County or somebody in San Diego. But if somebody's wanting to move to Southern California, and I'm not trying to sell them on Manhattan Beach or trying to sell them on Santa Monica or sell them on Palos Verdes as much as trying to learn a little bit about what's important to them. What makes them tick.
Right.
Obviously, LA has a lot more to offer, say, than places in Orange County or San Diego if you want to enjoy certain things in LA. But not everybody wants that.
Right.
Some people want to be further away. Listen, the Angels are down the road. You don't have to be a Dodger fan.
You can pick and choose, right? Unless they win the World Series, and then everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon.
Totally. Yeah. There's a lot of Ram fans now. There's more Ram fans now than there was a week ago.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of off topic, but we never really had a football team in LA, right? There was a long stint of no Raiders, no LA Rams, and no Chargers. Right now, all of a sudden, we have two football teams when we didn't have two at all. So these are all brand new fans. Of course, they can jump. It's acceptable.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting? When I was young, we had season tickets to the Rams when they were at the Coliseum, and we kept the season tickets when they moved to Anaheim. When they went to St. Louis, we all disowned the Rams.
Yeah. But now they're back.
And some of us became sort of temporary fans with the Raiders. So there are a lot of Raider fans down here in Southern California. And now with the Chargers up here, so you have a lot of choices. But I think that the Rams are starting to win their fans back slowly. But it's not easy to do overnight.
Hey, if you can win the Super Bowl, I think you'll have a good chance of winning them back.
Right.
So if you were what do you want to tell everybody? What do you want to share about with everybody? Because obviously we talked about Manhattan Beach. We talked about, it seems like you're very local. Obviously you're homegrown. You're you are Mr. Manhattan Beach, right? And so for everybody out there, not very familiar with Manhattan Beach, do you have any information that you could share or things you want to share with people?
Well, if somebody is trying to decide on a beach community, I have a lot of insight I can give up and down the coast, right? Why Manhattan Beach versus say Santa Monica versus say maybe Huntington Beach or Newport. I'm going to let them know kind of what's to offer there. Now, if somebody is wanting to move to the South Bay and they know they want to be in the South Bay, but not quite sure where in the South Bay, that's where my hyper-local expertise really comes into play. Because when you start looking around, literally from street to street, and keep in mind, we're so dense here of homes that, you have to really love your neighbor because you're not far away from your neighbor. You're in arm's reach in some cases. Obviously, the closer to the water, the more dense and the smaller the lots are and the further away from the water. But Manhattan Beach is only 2 miles of coastline and 2 miles inland. Hermosa Beach is 2 miles of coastline and only about 1.5 miles inland. So there's small communities, and Redondo kind of wraps around those two. So you can literally get around the South Bay pretty quickly, probably as quick on a bike as you can in a car. But if somebody says, hey, listen, I have a budget of X, here's what I need, this is what I'm looking for, then, and I want to be in the South Bay, which include Manhattan, Hermosa, Redondo, even Palos Verdes, I say, okay, based upon those needs, here are the sort of the best three options in the South Bay that we should look at, okay? And then once we really refine kind of what we want, let's say we wanted to be in Manhattan Beach, say in the tree section, and then you start looking, okay, there's two different elementary schools in the tree section. One's closer to the beach, one's just it's like a half mile from the beach. And then there's little nuances in each one of those neighborhoods and different streets to say, okay, on these kind of streets, here's what you're going to kind of get. On these, here's something a little bit different, but only somebody who's actually worked and lived here can really help people navigate from street to street and corner to corner and location. It could be a great home. It's you really don't want to be on that street. Here's why. That's why you want to be on these two streets over here instead. And it's really helped a lot of my clients still thank me today on why I took them away from certain streets and put them on another streets purchasing a home, because they now realize after spending time there that they ended up in the right location. Right.
You actually don't find that out till you're actually there, which could be too late.
Yeah. And there's always little nuances that change all the time, but when you think about the paths that you walked, and I'm sure in your communities too, if somebody was coming to Irvine or the surrounding areas right there, you can have that same conversation. I know Irvine, but I'm not going to be able to describe it and figure out which community I want to be in until I have an expert like you helping with that.
Right. Makes total sense. That's why it's so important. I mean, like having a local specialist is, being particular and very knowledgeable in a very particular neighborhood. I mean, that's the experience part that's hard to just pick up and learn just from like comps or computer or data and stuff like that. You just have to see it in person and live it.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, very cool. Thanks, John. I mean, this was kind of cool. I mean, it's always nice to kind of know, because you meet a ton of agents and you're like, oh, you're from here, but really you either forget or you really don't know. So sometimes having that conversation with somebody, getting to know how much they understand the neighborhoods and nuances of it is really important.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Well, very cool, John. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks so much for your time, man. Hopefully next time is mine. You're interviewing me next. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Next up will be, I'll be interviewing Chris Kwon. We'll learn everything about Irvine and surrounding Orange County areas.
For sure.
Well, cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right, John. Thanks so much.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. If you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And if you like the content, please like it. Please subscribe for further content that I'll be posting, and make sure you follow me on social media. Have an awesome day. Bathurst Coastal Properties.